Summary of Native Son by Richard Wright. Richard Wright's Native Son is a powerful and provocative novel that explores themes of race, poverty, systemic oppression, and identity in 1930s America. The story revolves around Bigger Thomas, a young African-American man living in the impoverished South Side of Chicago. Trapped by the socioeconomic conditions and racial prejudices of his environment, Bigger's journey is both a gripping narrative and a deep exploration of the forces that shape human behavior. The novel opens with a glimpse into Bigger's life in a cramped, one-room apartment that he shares with his mother, brother, and sister. Their struggles to make ends meet highlight the systemic poverty faced by Black families during the era. Bigger feels suffocated by his circumstances and angered by the limitations imposed on him by a racist society. His frustration manifests in a deep sense of alienation and a tendency toward violence. Bigger's life takes a dramatic turn when he is hired as a chauffeur for the wealthy Dalton family, a liberal white household. The Daltons, despite their apparent benevolence, are blind to their complicity in the systemic racism that oppresses people like Bigger. Mary Dalton, the daughter of the family, seeks to break down racial barriers, but does so with an oblivious sense of superiority. She introduces Bigger to her boyfriend, Jan Erlone, a communist activist who also treats Bigger with condescending kindness, further intensifying Bigger's discomfort and resentment. One fateful evening, Bigger drives Mary and Jan around the city, feeling increasingly uneasy about their attempts to befriend him. After dropping Jan off, Bigger helps a drunk Mary into her room. In a panic, fearing that he might be caught in a compromising situation, Bigger accidentally smothers Mary to death while trying to silence her. Terrified of the consequences, he burns her body in the furnace. This act sets off a chain of events that propels the novel forward. As the Daltons discover Mary's disappearance, Bigger spirals deeper into guilt and paranoia. To cover his tracks, he attempts to frame Jan for the crime, but his plans unravel when Mary's bones are discovered in the furnace. Bigger goes on the run, leading to a citywide manhunt that exposes the racial tensions and biases of the time. His flight is marked by fear and desperation, culminating in his capture by the police. The final section of the novel focuses on Bigger's trial. His defense attorney, Boris Max, argues that Bigger's actions were the result of systemic racism and societal oppression that dehumanized him and denied him agency. Despite Max's impassioned arguments, Bigger is sentenced to death. In his final moments, Bigger experiences a complex mix of emotions, rage, regret, and a faint sense of self-awareness as he begins to understand the societal forces that shaped his life. Native Son is a searing indictment of racial injustice and an exploration of the psychological and social consequences of systemic oppression. Through Bigger Thomas, Wright examines the ways in which racism destroys both the oppressed and the oppressor, creating a powerful narrative that remains deeply relevant. The novel challenges readers to confront uncomfortable truths about prejudice, inequality, and the human condition, making it a cornerstone of American literature.